So in high school and in the first couple of years of my undergrad school, my favorite sports to participate in were cross country and tennis, and maybe driving really fast. But that was an unofficial and unsanctioned sport by my parents and by the police. But I had the same coaches in tennis and in cross country. Coach Long was my cross country coach, and Coach Walker was my tennis coach. And they switched. Coach Long was the head coach of cross country, and Walker was the assistant coach. And Coach Long was the assistant coach for tennis, and Walker was the head coach for tennis. It was a great mix. They had really similar coaching styles and sense of humor. They kind of looked alike a little bit at a distance too, and I liked them a lot. They taught those of us who were on their teams to first control our emotions and then not let the emotions of our opponents change our game in a negative way. So in cross country, for example, I learned that my best races were run when I was in second place throughout most of the run. I could control the race as long as I stayed just a few paces behind the leader, wearing him out, so to speak. So I trained myself to calmly wear the leader down, I guess, and then pass him in the last minute of the race. I learned that same thing in tennis. I not only played the ball, but I also played the emotions. It was incredibly fun. As soon as my tennis opponent showed frustration at all on the court, at a missed call or a missed ball, I knew what to do and I knew I would win. As soon as my cross-country opponent showed emotion, usually irritation or frustration, that I was so close behind, sometimes only 2 steps behind him, no matter what he did, and he started to get frustrated and he pushed himself too fast, too soon, I knew I would win. I was also raised with horses, particularly quarter horses and Arabs. And horses are exceptionally sensitive creatures. You probably know this about them already. And my favorites were the ones that required me to approach them in a very calm and affectionate manner, and then to train them in the same way, to be firm, but not at all threatening or twitchy or fearful around them myself. And once I learned how to do that, and to work with a particular horse rather than just dominating the horse, an amazing partnership would start to blossom and unfold. I also grew up in a pretty large and loud and quite emotional family. Maybe yours was the same way. The source of most of our emotions was my mother. Wow, it's as though the refrigerator magnet, if mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy, was made for her. That's my mother, bless her heart. But I had to learn to do what I needed to do and what I wanted to do, regardless of her strong emotional reactions. A hard set of lessons, to be sure. Cross country, tennis, sensitive Arabian horses, and mom. They all taught me to recognize my own emotions and my own, what we like to call in psychology, my own emotional processes, and then to recognize those of others around me, and then to not let their emotions or mine, regardless of how strong, alter what I had set out to do and what was the good thing and the right thing to do. These lessons, woven deep into my DNA, have served me very well over the decades. One of my most influential authors is a gentleman who's passed a while ago named Edwin Friedman. He wrote a book entitled The Failure of Nerve: Leadership in the Age of a Quick Fix, and I highly recommend it to you. It's not something where you could sit and eat popcorn and just plow your way through like a Tom Clancy novel or something like that. But it is deep and dense, and it might take you a few months to work your way through it. And in his book that I mentioned, he wrote about 2 different types of leaders. Now, it's just you and I right here. There's probably no one looking over your shoulder and probably no one listening to me talk to you. You probably got your headphones in. So you can be kind of honest with yourself as I go through these 2 different types of leaders from the mind of Edwin Friedman. One he called an undifferentiated leader, and the other he called a well-differentiated leader. Now, Undifferentiated leaders are characterized by at least these traits. See if they describe you. They have a lack of clear boundaries between their emotions and those of others. In other words, they only do and like things that others around them do and like. They want to weigh in and check on others' emotions before they know what to feel. They have excessive emotional reactivity. An example of that is they react emotionally, often out of proportion, before getting curious. The most common form of this reactivity is anxiety. In fact, another word you can use for anxiety when you or someone else are experiencing it is reactivity. And it's reactivity to externalities that cause these internal feelings of anxiety. Another characteristic is they have a difficulty in taking feedback as anything other than a threat or an attack. How do you react if someone says, "Can I give you some feedback?" Now, of course, feedback is just information and you want to be careful who you get feedback from, but even a close person who knows you well and has your best interests at heart, how do you react when they want to give you feedback? Undifferentiated leaders are unstable. They change their style based upon whoever is the most persuasive person in front of them. Undifferentiated leaders are chronically anxious, reactive, and they're unhappy because they can't control others around them on whom they depend to be at peace within themselves. Wow, that's a lot. So, on the other hand, there are well-differentiated leaders. They're characterized by at least these traits. So let's see if these describe you. They have the capacity to separate themselves from surrounding emotional processes. They have the capacity to obtain clarity about their own principles and their own vision, even in the face of resistance and criticism and fear from other people, even often people close to them. They have a willingness to be exposed and to be vulnerable, and they don't need to look good all the time. They have a persistence in the face of inertial resistance. That's people around them who just don't want to move. They have this persistence. Remember the idea of activation energy, the concept that it takes a lot of energy to get something going, but not as much to keep it going? So they have persistence in the face of that inertial resistance. They know that it takes energy to get things started, and so they put that energy into it. They have self-regulation of their own emotions, especially in the face of reactive sabotage. That's when somebody around them is using their emotions or the emotions of others to react to a decision and try to sabotage by making personal attacks. It's amazing how powerful that tactic is, and if you are a well-differentiated leader, you'll be able to withstand it. Although it won't feel good, you'll be able to withstand the sabotage that those people are trying to put in place to keep you from leading. All this has led me then to a question. Do you need anything from the people that you lead? It's kind of a tricky question. A leader or not, we need things from people. So perhaps the more appropriate question is, what do you need from the people that you lead? Do you need their approval, their affection, their money, their constant reassurance, their cheers, their respect? Because we can't lead people if we need very much from them, especially those things. If you are leading your enterprise or your team or your crew, be careful what you need from them. If you need them to make you feel good in order to lead, in order to make a change, in order to make a decision, you're not going to be able to lead them. So leadership isn't everything. I say it all the time, but it's the first thing. Leaders get there first. And one of the great challenges of leadership is that when you get there, not everyone will go there with you. That's a hard thing. So, what decision are you faced with right now? What change do you need to make? What expectation do you need to clarify? What do you need to start or stop or double down on that while you know it's the right thing to do, it's going to cause some people's emotional processes to kick into high gear and to bubble over all over you. Well, is it the right thing to do? Is it wise? Is it good? Does it take into account the long view? Then do it. And resist the frustration that comes from those undifferentiated people. We need you to be successful. We need you to accomplish what you're set out to do. You got this. Here's to you. Okay, done.